In terms of the full package, there's absolutely no chance whatsoever of that being accepted at the moment. It's not a negotiation plan. It's not a peace plan. It's definitely how Ukraine can win. He's been going around the United States. We've seen the meetings with Trump, Biden, Harris, and indeed we've seen him being accused by Republicans of actually acting as a sort of election agent for Harris, which I think is true for reasons we'll come to. But he's also been recently speaking at the NATO summit, and he's also addressed the Rada, the Ukrainian parliament, in terms of his victory plan, which consists of a whole number of items. First and foremost, getting a formal invitation to join NATO. Ukraine is already a candidate member. Either way, full membership is clearly ruled out, at least I would guess so at the moment, because NATO is known for one thing: an injury to one is an injury to all. If you attack one of our members, then you're at war with all our members. And given that there's a war taking place today in Ukraine, if Ukraine was given full membership, that would mean every other member of NATO would be a combatant, would be obliged to become a combatant, with all the consequences that you can imagine. Is it Vladimir Putin who blinks in terms of the nuclear threat, or is it the West that backs down? Is it NATO that backs down with the threat of Russian nuclear weapons? But that's why we have this request, demand for a formal invitation to join NATO. Zelensky wants to involve NATO in this war. He wants NATO supplies of weapons, but also, by implication, he also wants NATO boots on the ground. The second item is Storm Shadow, weapons similar to Storm Shadow. Cruise missile. They describe it as long range, but the reality is something like 155 miles. Either way, they're being used now today. But what Zelensky wants is permission to use these weapons that he's already got against the territory of the Russian Federation itself. Putin has responded by saying that if you use these weapons against us in terms of our home territory, then in effect, NATO is at war with Russia. Dark, ominous talk about, again, nuclear weapons then coming on to the agenda. First time we discover that the go-ahead has been given, it's quite possible it will be on Russian TV as they show a wreck of some cruise missile with a bit of metal saying made in UK. That we're involved in a game of chicken. The United States doesn't want to be seen taking the lead in escalating this war. That's been the history throughout. It's wanted a position where it's Germany, it's Britain, it's France that take the lead in escalating. And so it's basically turned around to Keir Starmer and says, well, you can give the go-ahead. And there's a huge amount of pressure on Germany to actually supply Ukraine with a missile called Taurus. Bizarrely, you might think, it's the Green Party that is the most enthusiastic about actually supplying Taurus. The other parties are more reluctant. While such missiles would make a difference, they won't prove decisive. They're not in and of themselves war winners. The third demand of Zelensky is no land trade. We aren't going to engage in, we'll give you back the territory we hold in Kursk, and we'll take in exchange somewhere in the south or somewhere in the Donbass. Zelensky is ruling that one out, which is, in other words, a formula for saying no peace negotiations. What we demand is the defeat of Russia, is the surrender of Russia. The fourth demand is to continue with the Kursk incursion. Now, I don't really rate that myself. almost straight away, once the very bold incursion had happened, what you saw on both sides is digging down. And the Russians have shown no sign of saying, we must take back this precious Russian territory. Instead, they've concentrated on pursuing their offensive in the Donbass. Zelensky also wants a non-nuclear package to protect Ukrainian soil, involving NATO anti-missile and anti-aircraft batteries that you would base in Poland or Romania to shoot down Russian drones and Russian missiles that are over Ukrainian territory. In other words, he wants the direct involvement of NATO powers. He's also saying that he wants joint EU-US protection of natural resources. He's demanding measures that would effectively lock NATO into the Ukraine war in an active fashion. And the last open demand, once there's peace, Ukrainian soldiers will be based in other parts of Europe. We have 3 addendums which are kept secret. So 3 secret clauses. I've not read any commentary that enlightens me. I presume they've been kept secret because, hey, they're dangerous. In terms of the full package, there's absolutely no chance whatsoever of that being accepted at the moment, because we are on the cusp of elections in the United States. So there's no way, but nonetheless ups the ante, ups the involvement of NATO in this war. No doubt China is helping Russia out, but it doesn't want to be seen to be too open, too overt in that. It doesn't want to risk retaliatory measures from the US and its allies in Ukraine. Is in essence a stalemate. But if things are escalated, if NATO is more directly involved, then that assessment could well change.